Could we be getting more characters than we initially thought for CTR? Let's find out! What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and I am back with a little video talking about CTR. Recently, there was a gigantic footage dump showing off multiple tracks in the remastered glory from Activision themselves, but also from a friend of the channel's, Crystal Fissure, and news channels like Polygon and many other outlets have been showing off multiple pieces of footage. But before I even dive into some of these themes and little things of these tracks, there is something that caught my eye that initially seems, well, boring. That, my friends, is the character select screen. So, like I said, this seems weird to be looking at, but please let me explain. During the German Inside PlayStation video about Crash Team Racing, they go to the character select screen. Now, right off the hop, we can see that the 8 racers can be selected for this tech demo. Now, in the original, there are 15 racers in total. Now, if you had a Game Shark or an Action Replay, you could get Nitrous Oxide, but legally 15. Currently, we sit at 8, with the other 7 characters to show up later on. But something that I and multiple fans pointed out was the size of the character select screen. There is a lot of empty space to fill, if you ask me. Perhaps a lot more than the rest of the original roster could fill. So I decided to do a little Photoshop editing to get my brain thinking. So I grabbed this screenshot here. I then copied the size and shape of the characters' portraits and I lined them up as close as I could to match the pattern of the original roster. So we can see that we have 3 rows of 5. Nice and clean, right? But there's still this large gap below the characters and it just seems off-centered if you ask me. But we are missing someone. See, it's been confirmed that Nitrous Oxide is a playable character in the game, either right at the start if you buy the deluxe edition, or by completing the adventure mode's races. So I added another portrait to represent Nitrous Oxide. So now everything is really not centered, and it really doesn't look, well, right anymore. There's still this massive gap, and Oxide is off on his own little island. Also, 16 is a bit of an odd number. Normally, people aim for numbers that end with 5s or 0s. That's just an observation on my part. I mean, look at Smash Ultimate. There were 74 fighters if you count Pokemon Trainer as one. And Sakurai just casually shrugged and trolled us all by putting a plant into Smash Brothers and making it free for anyone who downloaded it before January 31st, making the game's total fighters to 75. In the original Mario Kart 8, there are a total of 30 racers, which again follows the rule of thumb that developers follow. Not Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with all the added DLC characters, but the original. Now, I am not saying that this is a rule that must and has to be followed, but it is a rule and a guideline that seems to be popping up in these style of games. So all that I'm saying is that something seems off in terms of the amount of characters and the spacing of the gap. So I decided to finish off the row that Nitrous Oxide would be on by adding 4 portraits. With these 4 added, the total roster now actually looks centered and the gap seems much more filled in. Now, I did add an additional 5 after that row, and while yes, it does still fit, I think it might be a bit much, so I'm going to go back to before. So my thoughts are that at least 4 new characters will be added to Crash Team Racing. It fills the gap, but it also hits the rule that normally developers go for, which is numbers that end in 0 or 5, as it now makes it 20 racers. On top of that, there are a few characters that will fill these 4 slots very easily. First off, Spyro has been a huge speculated racer for a long time now. I mean, there are hints flying left, right, and center. I'm not even going to go into them again. You can check out one of my previous videos going over all the evidence that he will likely be in CTR. But not just that, but I also think that it would be an absolute shame if Dr. Nitrous Brio, Neo Cortex's original right-hand man, did not make it as a racer. I think he is an absolute perfect fit to the game. Another character that I think would work perfectly fine would be Koala Kong. He's a loved character and would be a great addition to the game, and also another heavy, kind of like Tiny. For the last racer, I think we need another female in this game. And before you go in my comment section and scream at me, I double checked. Pentapenguin, Purah, and Polar are all dudes, according to the wiki. So I think a perfect fit would be Tana. Not to mention, they will likely already will be using her model for one of the trophy girls, so why not make her a racer as well? Speaking of models, there's another point that needs to be made. All these characters that I just listed already have an updated model for modern times and are already rigged and ready to go from the Insane trilogy. They are already there. This is why I think characters like Rillaroot or Crunch are not going to make it, because it would seem that Beenox is reusing a lot of assets from the Insane trilogy. Don't quote me on that, it's just a thought in theory. So, to quickly summarize, due to there being such a large gap in odd racer totals, I think that there will be 4 characters added to the new Crash Team Racing. Those I predict will be Spyro, Dr. Nitrous Brio, Koala Kong, and Tana. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. Cue the extra.